Yo, it's the Rap Radar Podcast. My name is B-Dot.
Elliot Wilson.
Yo, Elliot, we're here with the hardest working man in entertainment.
Yo, this guy got too many shows, too many gigs, too many green lights in his future, man. But I've gotten to know him a little bit last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's really a great dude, man. I'm honored that he took the time to be on the program, man. Kenyabarris.
Thank you, man. I'm sorry, Elliot, talking about you guys breaking up. I'm sorry about that.
We broke up?
Rap Radar is everlasting, man. Everlasting.
I have no beef with B-Dot, but you have a new project right now, Entergalactic, with a gentleman named Kid Cudi.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. So I know that's a song from Man on the Moon. You know, that's actually, his debut. It's a classic debut album. Taking that one song, Entergalactic, and sort of building this narrative. Like, can you explain the process?
So we got, we knew each other in passing. I met him a long time ago. My best friend, who at the time is now passed away, his name is Shakir Stewart. I met him years ago in Chaka Pilgrim and Shakir. Stewart introduced me, and we say what's up. You know what I'm saying? My kids are, fans, and I'm a fan of the music. And I saw him out one day, and we were like, let's figure something out. And I was like, yo, my daughter, who never asked me anything, like, say, you have kids, like the daughter who like makes her job to not ask me for shit. She was like, she's the head of BSU at her school. She goes in one of those kind of like fancy Howard Westlake kind of schools, whatever.
Yeah.
And she was like, can you ask Cudi if he would come speak at my BSU?
Wow.
And I was like, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you never get those things. So I'm like, he's going to say no. It'll be a quick no. I asked him, and he was like, fuck it. He was like, all right. Cool. And I was like, really? You know what I'm saying? And he came and, showed up on time. And it's 20 black kids in a BSU. Mm-hmm. They had moved it out of the BSU classroom into the auditorium. It's 1,500, 2,000 kids in there.
Wow.
And I was just like, what? You know what I'm saying? And like, these kids were fanatics. Like, there were kids crying.
His fan base is like that.
They're
it's very unique. His fan base in the space is very unique.
They were crying. And I was just like, it got in my head. You know what I'm saying? And they were getting them kids were like, you saved my life. And, and I was like, I really got into a deep dive. And I started realizing, I was like, I told my dad, I was like, Cudi's not that young. I think for those kids, he's transformative. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's sort of in some aspects, the emo rap thing, you know what I'm saying? Talking about mental health, you know what I'm saying? Depression, like a little bit even like the melodic sort of like singing. Like he kind of, in a lot of ways, almost created that lane. You know what I'm saying? I've heard that like Travis Scott is Travis Scott because of Scott and Scuddy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I left that thing and I was like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? And he was like, I know, it was crazy love. And we were like, let's do something. We had been talking about doing something. Yeah. So we talked about doing something live action. He came in and went to Netflix, and they were kind of lukewarm on it, not really, didn't quite get it. This guy, Mike Moon, who runs animation there, was like, yo, I'm in love with Cudi. My kids love him. He was like, I think that this could be something. He was like, we both were fans. Me and Cudi were fans of like heavy metal, of like Spider-Verse, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Moana, I still was singing the songs with my kids, you know what I'm saying? All this. And we were like, there could be something. He's like, I want to do something on love. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, I've been working on some music. And so I went and listened to it, actually with my daughter, the one who's, and was like, yo. And that's, I was like, is it the reference speakers? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes everything sounds good in this.
Yeah, the live studio stuff. Yeah, it's like,
And so I brought my boy back, this kid from Queens. And he was like, Maurice Williams, who ended up being one of the runners, he was like, yo, this is crazy. And I was like, let's bring the cast from Netflix in. And they were like immediately blown away.
Yeah.
And we started realizing like there's something here, you know what I'm saying, in the song. And we started feeling like there's like looking like Love Jones was one of my all-time favorite movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And looking at that maybe through an animated lens that you don't have the budget doesn't have a scope in terms of where you can go, what you can do. And we were like, yo, let's do something special. Like, and like it's the first time an album and a series have ever dropped where every track of the album relates to a chapter or a segment of the series. And we're like, this is something new or whatever. But as the music started going, the music started to influence the stories started to influence the music. We brought in this kid, Ian Edelman, who created How to Make It in America.
Oh, yeah. Everybody loved that show.
And we brought in we started looking for animators, and we got this dude Fletch who worked like, he has a chip on his shoulder because he was one of the original dudes who kind of like, did Spider-Verse and brought in some of the best, character designers, and we started really building this. And we started saying like, we wanted to look different, we wanted to feel different, we wanted to be. Have you guys got a chance to see it?
Yeah, the animation's superb.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna call my production company We'll See Productions because I never want to say we'll see. You know what I'm saying? We'll always see.
We'll
like,
see.
But this is one of the first things I'm like, yo, this. I think this might be something. Like, and I'm usually afraid to say that. You know what I'm saying? But it really, it's special.
It really feels like New York City. Like
that's the thing.
I saw like it's Houston and Lafayette Street. I'm like, I know where that is. There's certain landmarks that are really identifiable to the city.
And to me, it always stands out too. Like you say, it's a love story, right? It still feels rare for us people of color to be able to have a platform to tell the love story, right?
We don't get to tell that. You know what I'm saying? Like Love Jones, like for our age, right? That was like the last like one that like really got their shit off, right?
Yeah.
Theodore Witcher, who did that, like kind of disappeared after it. The audience was like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was that crazy soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? It was tone. It was like muted. You know what I'm saying? It was bright, but it was like muted. You know what I'm saying? How he shot it. It was like rain. It was Nia and Lorenz. It was all those things. And we started feeling like animation takes so long. You never really know, but things started coming together. Like we got Jessica, we got Laura Harrier, we got Timothy Chalamet, Macaulay Culkin, we got Ty Dolla $ign who kills it.
Ty's in it. Okay.
Yeah, he kills it. A lot of people came together, you know what I'm saying, to make it. And it started being just like really like a labor of love that became a labor of like everybody started feeling like, is this a no-hitter? You know what I'm saying? And we started like kind of like getting into it. And it was, the music kept coming out, and it was, I saw Cudi in a different light than I had musically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I felt like the idea of like his melodies, the way that he was able to sort of take ideas that we had for story and build a song around them, you know what I'm saying? And create, like, it has a real melodic feel to it.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges in storytelling through animation that you face?
It was interesting. I was much less involved in that. I was more so like a PSA, and I was the passion of like really wanting to, civics stopped getting taught in public school, which is crazy to me. That's how you get Trump as a president.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I got with Norman Lear and the Annenberg Foundation and Lear Foundation, and we were like, we should do something to speak to kids and explain to them voting, redlining, this and that. And that's what that was about. And we got some artists. Right. So, but this was like, and that same thing happened there. We had, Peter Ramsey did some stuff. We had great dancing, but this was the notion of, I realized in animation, every single frame is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's stuff that can happen here, happy accident. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm parched. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear something, you know what I'm saying? That comes on, but like every single frame is absolutely intentional. Mm. And I felt like that's how I, as a producer, in the best of worlds, that's what you want. You want like, we got Virgil, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of his legacy and pay homage to him. You know what I'm saying? He came in and he was our designer. And we got, we had people from Claus to, Takashi Murakami, you know what I'm saying? We had people incredible other people just came in and gave us, blessed us with their gifts. And I feel like everything sort of aggregated into something that was like a living painting. Mm-hmm. And so I really feel like you didn't know what it was going to be. Yeah. And it came out in a way, it made me fall in love with animation. I'm doing the Bob Marley animated movie for Disney.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like a love letter to Jamaica, the way Moana was a love letter to us. And this helped me with that because I started realizing like, you got to go to Jamaica. We got to look at the foliage. We got to look at the rivers. We got to, what I'm saying?
To get all those details.
You absolutely 100% do. And I think that subsequently led me to doing Wizard of Oz. I wasn't ever planning on doing Wizard of Oz. I wanted this kid.
Wizard of Oz be that.
Yeah.
I wanted this
black
kid.
Man gonna flip Wizard of Oz, man.
I wanted to write it. I always knew I wanted to write it, but I wanted this kid Cole Bennett to direct it.
Cole Bennett, Lyrical Lemonade.
Yeah, I wanted
Lyrical Lemonade
to direct it. He was fucking. His work ethic is crazy, and he put this work in, and ultimately it's a huge budget, and they felt like it's a lot of change going on. Like maybe they were a little bit scared. They got gun shy at the last minute. He might still do it, but they got gunshot at the last minute of a first time director taking a $200-300 million budget. But they came and asked me, they were like, we love what you do with characters. They know that I like talking about things.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Wizard of Oz was, back in the day, it was an allegory for the world. You know what I'm saying?
At that
it was
time.
it was turned around. It was the Great Depression. It was the Davis in the Dust Bowl. I feel like this is a great time to sort of turn the mirror, you know what I'm saying, as an allegory of what's going on in the world. And so that's how how that came to be. So all that Entergalactic sort of helped prepare me for that, in a special way. And I'm sort of, I believe that as producers, like that's our job. Like how's their hair look? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's the set deck look like? What's the clothes look like? What's the makeup look like? What needle drops are we playing? What's the score? Like what's the coloring on it? You know what I'm saying? How lit is it? And I think that's a little bit of that art has been lost, and people trying to put things out and I think the idea of like, if you can try to get something great, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's all these people running around chasing good. You know what I'm saying? One great equals 50 goods. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that really takes the time of really sort of, getting into it. And I think that's something that animation actually pushes you to do. It tries to just try to strive for greatness.
Right. Well, the Wizard of Oz feel like the Wiz. Have that kind of feel to it?
I mean, in that I'm black, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In that I'm black, and I feel like that's the story I want to tell. You only can talk from things from your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm setting it in Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? And
there we go. Where you're from?
It goes underneath to, a place we're calling maybe Underhood. You know what I'm saying? It's the outside of Oz. There's a couple of people, this is composer Bacon, but I fell in love with the 1500 guys.
Oh, 1500.
You know what I'm saying? I fell in love with
Rants.
You know what I'm saying? And I went and saw them, and like, they're from Inglewood, and like the idea of like, it's one of those movies where I'm writing the music with the script, because it's the only movie ever that I can really think of. Like, it goes action, set piece, music, turn. Action, set piece, music, turn. Every piece of music turns you into the next thing. And so I feel like the music is the movie, and I want to have it like be reflective. It's so crazy. I was just saying, I think that sometimes people like look like us sometimes can be our own alpha predator. I said I want to have people to be inclusive of everybody. Like, I feel like it's for us, but I feel like the way we really achieve is, I'm a populist. I feel like we got to like get numbers. Yeah. And I'm not trying to like pander to people, but I want it to be something that speaks to us, for us, but at the same time, if it's a real honest story, gets everybody. Yeah. So they took a sound bite or clip, whatever they call it, clickbait, and said, Blackish creator wants LGBTQ characters and everything. And it was like 35,000 comments. Like, there you go, messing up again. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. I won't be watching it. And I'm like, first of all, Wizard of Oz is the gayest movie ever. And I feel like the idea that we want to box ourselves in, you know what I'm saying, when we do it, when a black man is doing something and have something to say, and sort of like, I feel like sometimes we stop ourselves from growing. We stop ourselves from the idea of like, see it first before you start saying
prejudge.
Yeah, like, let's give it a chance. Like, let's look what it is. Let's celebrate the fact that we're getting these opportunities. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because if I get this opportunity and I can do good, then someone else can get this opportunity and they can do good. And we can continue to grow, and it doesn't have to keep being, we're doing the same type of things. But I feel like we are, sometimes I think we're our hardest, predator.
Right.
That's interesting.
You're a self-proclaimed black dude from Inglewood, right? So I'm just curious, this is Rap Radar. Where does your rap origins begin for you?
I think the first rap album I got was I think it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how we keep it going on.
Yeah, Message 535.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was the first. It was like a light blue album cover. You know what I'm saying? Light blue thing. I think I just played that album out of it. But then, I was in the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? And so we started listening to, Battle Cat. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, Egyptian Lover. Like, and then like NWA came out. And just like, that was the beginning of like, that was it for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were proud to be from LA because we had created something for us that was changing, you know what I'm saying, had approached the whole world in a different way. But like, I'm a music fan. You know You know what I'm saying? I'm a music fan. I was the dude, I was a dude who like I remember, I would listen to Sweetback for hours. I would listen to Portishead. I would listen to, to Miles. I would listen to this. I'm just a music fan. And I feel like, there was this movie, this doc called Score. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's all about score or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Quincy Jones said something in it. He said the music is emotion motion. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, it spoke to me. Like, I really do feel like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a part where Trent Reznor is gearing up for, he's showing the Social Network, right? And it's that haunting, just couple keystrokes, him running through the Harvard thing, and then they take that out, and you're like, this is some bullshit. And then they put it back, you're like, this one thing, that's how, you know what I'm saying, it changes the whole thing of it. So I feel like all of it and everything that all of us do, like we're all connected, you know what I'm saying, in a really big way.
I was gonna say, you're one of the greatest television writers, and do you write to music as a backdrop? Or do
Absolutely. I have Chrisette Michelle's first album is my album. Like everybody, and you find something that I can't listen to something new. I know that album so well that it becomes background noise for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the best book I ever read on writing was this, Stephen King wrote this book called On Writing, right? And it's really a biography mixed with a writing book. But one of the things he said is like, train your mind to try to do the same thing in the same place at the same time every day. And he's like, it becomes Pavlovian. So mine used to be a coffee shop, and I would want to sit in the same seat, the same time. I put Chrisette Michelle on my ear things, and I just go write, even if I didn't feel like it. So much so, if somebody was sitting there, sometimes I'd be like, yo, can I give you, $20-$30 to sit here? Because I was like, I need this seat. I need to look up. And the hardest thing is like when people start recognizing me and would interrupt, I had to change that or whatever. But what happens is when you try to do things around the same time, same place every day, it does become Pavlovian. And even if you don't want to write, sometimes you might get 4 hours, but sometimes you might get 2, but your brain will turn on and be like, it's work time.
Yeah.
So that's something if I can, I try to do.
And it's always interesting to me because me and Beat, our backgrounds, music journalists, we both work at Double XL. So we have a staff office. So we would kind of get to be creative and bounce ideas off each other. But if you look at the TV world, there's this mythical thing of a writer's room, right? Where all these different writers get together. Like, can you talk about your early days of like navigating through that and like working, entering these writers' rooms with other creatives and then developing your voice?
Yeah, to me, that's my life. I love that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being in a room with, 10 or 12 other people who are funny, fucked up, smart, get your voice, don't get your voice, will argue back at you, you know what I'm saying? Like, it creates like, it's magic to it, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, for me, for a long time, I was the only Black dude in the room.
Yeah.
I was the youngest and I was the only Black dude in the room. But it taught me a lot. It taught me like how to sort of like, at first I remember like, I tried to dress like the white boys, you know what I'm saying? I tried to do stuff like, and then what I realized is like, the only way it's really ever going to work is if I'm me. You know what I'm saying? And I started like bucking up against that and just being the best version or truest version.
You might wear the hoodie to work.
No, seriously, all kidding aside. Like I remember when I would go on interviews for writers, I would like look up their pictures and I'd be like, okay, this guy looks like a docker, white shirt, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, and I'm going to mirror that.
So you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it wasn't working, you know what I'm saying? Like I might get the job, but then I get in there and one of the biggest arguments I ever had was Neil Young, right? I didn't know Neil Young, right? And the writers fucking Neil Young, Eric Costello, is that his name? Elvis Costello. White boys go crazy. And I was like, talking about it, and they were like, you don't know this? And I was like, nigga, do you know DJ Quick?
Right.
And I was like, who sold more records last year? And I bucked back and we pulled it up. And I was like, so you know what I'm saying? And like, and it kind of was like a mutual respect. Like the idea of like, don't try to like shit on my references. And that's what I started realizing is that the reason it's hard for us to make it in those particular situations is we have different reference points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They grew up reading Slaughterhouse-Five, David Sedaris, this guy, that guy. We grew up reading, maybe Baldwin, Terry McMillan, you know what I'm saying? We're the people that we
Source magazine.
You know what I'm saying? Source, no, seriously. But like they would make you feel less than if you didn't have their references. And I started realizing like, you know what? I'm going to find their reference because I want to play their games. I'm going to read their reference because I want to play their games. They're never going to read mine because they don't respect me. And so I'm going to be ahead of them.
You'll
You know
have
what I'm
both.
I'm going to figure out, because I do think there were real things to understand from some of those references, but they didn't really feel the need for me in that. And the world started changing. And so they were started being behind the curve, you know what I'm saying, behind the 8 ball. And I was like, as always, we learn 2 languages. You know what I'm saying? We have to sort of, as Baldwin said, you know, we speak dual dialogue. And I feel like that became the sort of change for me when I started being like, yo, I'm going to wear a hoodie to work. Yo, I'm going to do this. Yo, I'm going to sort of be that. And it happened to come at the time as the world was changing. And all their kids, you know what I'm saying, were listening to the same stuff as our kids. And they didn't have the reference points. And I feel like, you know, I try to tell, you know, writers now that the idea, I think, like, I love all the opportunities that those UPN shows, CW shows gave us. Yeah. But like, I remember I was in the game, they showed the game, and it had crossed over to BET, and when it came on, it broke every cable record, viewing record. And I would go out every year. You go out what's called staffing meetings to get new jobs. You go meet with executives, and they'd be like, "Well, you know, what show are you on?" I'm like, "I'm on the game." They're like, "I'm not familiar." I'm like, "You know, the show that more people watched on cable than anything else."
Wow.
And they didn't care because it was like, they were like, "Well, that's all black people." I'm like, "But it's your job. If you're a television executive, it's your job to know this is a number. Yeah. More people are watching this, so you should know the show they're on." But that's how little they cared. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? At some point, I was like, I'm going to buck this. And so every year I started selling pilots because I still wanted to be accepted. I know that sounds crazy, but I wanted to be accepted by those groups because I wanted to get in and change it. Yep. So I started selling pilots every year, NBC, ABC, CBS, all, you know, and keep myself in mind. But I kept the job. Was really lucky enough to get, you know, those black employers, you know what I'm saying, they were able to feed my family, and, you know, we made good money. And then I finally got an opportunity, and I felt like I realized that enough of us weren't trained. There's different joke structures. You know what I'm saying? There's different structures in those rooms, and they would give us diversity slots, right? But we don't, just like black comics and white comics on the road, we tell our jokes, we tell our stories differently. Yeah. And if it's not the way that they say we're supposed to tell it, they wanted to look down on us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I started realizing that my job was going to be just have a situation where I could bring people up and give them the training to train them both ways. You know what I'm saying? So that when we got those opportunities and got put in front of those people, we would know how to play their game, but we would play it our way. And I think that's what Spike, that's what, you know what I'm saying, John, that's what a lot of people that I have, you know, consider my, you know, heroes. Yeah. They did. You know what I'm saying? And I think that has been really, for me, you know, a gift that, like, I gave myself, and I try to give it to my kids, is stay in your lane, you know what I'm saying, but know their game too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because we're always going to know how to play our game, and we always end up beating them at theirs too if they let us in the door.
You're like the Black Merv Griffin right now. Give it a lot. I'm just saying.
How old do you be that? Merv Griffin?
Old enough. Well, you know, I'm looking at, you know, the people that you're working with. You're giving a lot of rappers opportunities, right? I saw that you're working with fatjoe, developing a pilot with him, the Book of Jose. I guess working
best
in tandem with
best storyteller in the world.
He's
right. Don Cartagena.
He can tell you about going to the grocery store, and you'll be like, "Tell me more." And then what happened? They checked you out. Everything. You know, he's the best storyteller in the world. He's a genius. Right. You know what I'm saying? He's the Puerto Rican and Cuban Forrest Gump. Like, he has been in every piece of the world. Yeah. He
did graffiti, everything. Like,
everything.
The guy touched the culture in so many ways.
In so many.
He brought us DJ Khaled.
Like, as his intern. A Big Pun was his intern. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everybody respects Joe. And he's just a solid, you know what I'm saying, 10 toes down dude. You know what I'm saying? Got to work with Vince, doing a movie with Vince Staples.
Yeah, we just did something with Vince, and back to that writer's room thing. I feel like his whole energy, he's excited to go to the writer's room.
He just shows up every day,
right?
He shows up every day, and you know, and it's the one thing I look at Vince, like, it's crazy because it's a room full of white boys, right? And Vince is pitching his show, and they're kind of a little scared of him, right? And I'm like,
you know, he gangbang.
I was like, there's an active Long Beach Crip in the writer's room. And like, they're afraid of things.
Say it again.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, when they say shit, I'm like, there's an active Long Beach Crip telling you no. And like, they don't know how to push back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, we're aggressive as a people, you know what I'm saying? And it comes off. But like, I love Vince because Vince is so receptive and wants to learn. And he's an autodidact. He's brilliant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like brilliant.
A little bit of a smart ass.
It's real, but that's what you need. He needs a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, Vince, I want you to take an improv class. And I was like, I want you to learn how to do yes and. You know what I'm saying?
Yes and.
The idea of like, you have it, but taking an idea and then being like, okay, what if we did this? You know what I'm saying? Because the way his mind works, he's just smarter and faster than everyone else.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you're not used to being around us, we can come off aggressive. Like, people come to our dinners or see us hoop. Like the way we approach one another, it's just something different. And if you're not in that, it comes off a different way. And he was so open to it, and so he's one of the next ones.
You have a drama with 50 Cent coming, right?
Me and 50, we took the 48 Laws of Power.
He doesn't like me either, can you?
50 probably does like you.
Oh, he
doesn't. 50 scares me. Shit.
Hey, there you go.
But we're doing a 50 of Law.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Which was like, the hood 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
He got it and we turned it into, a story of a kid who, comes from the Bronx or from, and whatever, but gets into Wall Street and uses the same shit that like we know, and how does he sort of like make that in a real world? You know what I'm saying? Like, you've heard the stories like, if you can take a dude who can sell crack on the corner and make him a millionaire, what could that dude do if you actually put him in a boardroom? Like, those are Fortune 500 CEOs who don't get the opportunity. So it takes that, you know what I'm saying, a premise and does it. I got to do this with Kid Cudi, doing a movie with Snoop. I'm a huge Jay fan. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to do whatever he wants to do, whatever. Me and Pharrell have a play.
Juneteenth musical.
Juneteenth, I'm saying and just seeing how Pharrell's absolutely a genius. I remember 15, 16 making Rum Shaker, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Rex in Effect.
You know what I'm saying? Rex in Effect. He was like in that Teddy camp. Who else did I get? I mean, so many on the rap side, but it's like
you're becoming a hip hop mogul on the low. Man.
But it's the idea of like we all speak the same language. You know what I'm saying? Like the thing that people don't think about is like rappers are poets. That's the softest shit you can be in the world.
Right?
Is a poet.
Writers,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're poets, you know what I'm saying? But like at the core, they're poets, they're writers, you know what I'm saying? And they're griots. And so like
storytellers.
Storytellers. And I think that part of it has made us be able to see each other. I was doing something with Lil' Kim and with Nicki Minaj. And I feel like when I started hearing Nicki's story, Nicki was telling me like she worked at all these Red Lobsters. And she was like,
that's some Queen stuff, right?
She was like, she used to take the receipt rolls, and at break, because she couldn't have money paper, she would go write her rhymes in the car on receipt rolls. You know what I'm saying? And take the bus all the way to the other side of town to Performing Arts, whatever the New York Performing Arts School. You know what I'm saying? And like just hearing this, I'm like, people they see the outcome, but they don't see the work and the sort of like strain and the effort and the energy and the brilliance that went into get there. And I think that part, I've been really lucky that I respect that and I respect them. And in some aspect, they've given me respect. And, I used to kind of shy away from it. Now I love it. Now I love it.
Embrace it.
You know what I'm saying? That I can, be a part of it. Like one of the craziest moments for me was like I would get calls from people or whatever. And I remember I got a call from Spielberg and they were like, Spielberg wants to meet you. And I was like, oh shit. Spielberg's meet you. I got in a car and I'm like, why does Spielberg want to meet me? And I was like, this is about to be some black shit. And I got there and it was, they were talking about turning Indiana Jones maybe into, maybe giving it to yourself. But like maybe like having a hand off.
Indiana Jenkins.
And I was like, I went from being mad to being like, yo, you know what? It's still Indiana Jones. And I started being like, you know what? Instead of it being something I run from, maybe I embrace the idea of like this, if we can take these things and make them elevated where they don't feel like some black shit, like in the negative way, but there's some black shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I almost feel like I started being like, I only want those calls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I only want those calls. I only want to do the stuff that like, and how do we sort of take and elevate that for our kids and you know what I'm saying, and do it in a way where it becomes something that like, we can proprietarily say we made that. You know
Yeah. Also, you got the Mariano Rivera, like the closer thing. I feel like when other projects are in trouble, they also bring you in and you take it home. Was it Coming to America 2?
Yeah.
I know you, Richard Pryor, you're getting that together. Like, talk about that coming into something that.
So Pryor
taking it to the finish line.
Pryor was my dream project. You know what I'm saying? And it was, I see so much of myself in Pryor. You know what I'm saying? My dad was abusive to my mom. You know what I'm saying? He used to chase white fame. You know what I'm saying? Trouble. You know what I'm saying? Trouble with women. Just so much of myself I see in him. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, Pryor was the first person that was like, you go to a Pryor concert, it's like being in an open carry state. Right? Open, because like everybody can get shot. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be cool because he came after everybody.
Yeah.
And so I loved it. And like we were supposed to, there was an actor I was going to do it with, direct it. And it was going to be my directing. Like this was going to be the one for me. An actor who's one of the best actors in the world. Loved the script. He's like a brother to me, but he was like, it's triggering. He was like going through sobriety. And he was like, it's triggering. I don't know if I can. You know what I'm saying? He's like a method actor. He's like, I don't know if I can do that. And really like it was, I was in a depression. And that's when The Wiz came up. You know what I'm saying? I just came off of, every time I say I'm not going to do something like Coming to America, which is one of the, a classic, they came to me and was like, but do you want to do it? And I'm like, man, that movie doesn't need to get touched. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I looked at it and I was like, you know what? But I have a way in. And I knew there had been 10, 15 scripts of people trying to do it. And I was able to sort of find a way in. They got it made. And I think today it's like the third biggest streaming movie. And whether you like it or not, I have my issues with it. It's the idea of how it resonated. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I feel like getting in that lane and sort of being able to do those things. There was a moment where I was like, and I want to have you guys on. I want to do a podcast, and I want it to be sort of a writer's room setup, but I want to be in the conversation of. You know what I'm saying? And I'm meaning like, you may not be might be the best, but you're in the conversation of. And I want to talk to people who might be in the conversation of being. And I felt to myself one day like, I want to be in the conversation when it's all said and done. Like, maybe I'm not the best, but I'm in the conversation of like, if I do some things people can talk about when it's all said and done. Like maybe I'm talked about amongst it. And then when you get into that conversation, I look at you guys like I told you, me and Ellie I still want to do something like you take this from such a journalistic standpoint. You know what I'm saying? And the way that you guys approach this is not just like, I'm gonna do a rap, podcast. It's like, the way you approach it, it really feels like you're studying it, you understand the ebbs and flows, you understand how to turn corners, you understand how to sort of formulate things in a way I think a lot of kids don't really look at and respect. And you're students, right? You know what I'm saying? And you're also teachers. And I feel like to do that, that to me is, that's a gift.
I read that you have an IP of a movie that you're turning into a show. You said that you're really proud of, but you didn't say what it was. Can you talk about that?
The Truman Show.
Wow.
So we're doing the Truman Show as a, my publicist here, she's going to be pissed.
It's okay.
And cut. It's okay. They might not see it, Ken. You don't worry.
But it, to me, was one of the greatest movies. You know what I'm saying? That thing, whatever. And we thought, what if we did it? I won't tell you any details.
Do you have a star for that already?
No, but I have people I would love to do it.
And there's another one you was teasing for a while. Was Jonah Hill involved? And Eddie also involved?
I just shot that. I still can. I did a movie called You People. It'll be out next year. It's it was my feature directorial debut. It was
congrats on that, man. Let's let that breathe. So that's the first official director credit.
I've done TV quite a bit, but not as a
film
feature.
director.
Yeah, and it started off like you're not supposed to start there. You know what I'm saying? But they gave me, because I had done so much TV and happening. But like, it was Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, David Duchovny, Nia Long, Lauren London, Mike Epps. A lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like we really got to put our foot in it, and it was crazy because during the process, once again, that's a we'll see for me. You know what I'm saying? I'll show you. I'd love it when we do a screen. I'd love you guys to see it.
Yes,
but,
of course.
It was one of those moments that during the process, something hit me. I think I'm the only person of color, right, black person who's ever written and directed a mainstream comedy, like $100 million mainstream. I don't think that, and I was like, oh, then that can't be right. That can't be right. And I started and I was like,
there's some Googles in it.
I don't think I could find one. Like, you know, I love Tim. Tim's like my brother, but those are considered for us. You know what I'm saying? Those are considered black. Like a mainstream. I'm like, it's crazy because they'll eat up our they'll eat up Kevin and Chris and Dave and Eddie and eat that up, but they won't let us be in control of like how those stories are presented back to the world. Yeah. And I was like, that is a crazy stat. You know what I'm saying? It's a crazy thing. And I was like, so every time I got hard, I started remembering that, like, the fact that something that should be so obvious has not happened before.
Yeah. It's history in real time. You really...
It is, and it's weird, too, though, because I feel like the moments that I wanted to be like, yo, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, I can't, because if I do this, and if I fail, they'll be like, see? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all can't do it. If I walk away, they'll say, see? But if I do it, and somehow it's even kind of accepted, it opens the door for the next person. Just like Ryan did with, you know what I'm saying, with Panther. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's one of my heroes. He's a friend, but he's one of my heroes. Like they wanted him to put Thor or Iron Man. I'm sure you guys have heard this. They wanted him to put one of those dudes in the movie. Yeah. And
he refused.
Refused because he knew if he did that and it worked, then they wouldn't have said it was Black Panther. They would have said it was an Iron Man movie or it was a Thor movie. You know what I'm saying? This movie. And it broke records in Saudi Arabia. It's one of the most successful movies of all time. And he did that for us and for the next generation. So I feel like sometimes like you have to sort of stand your ground. And, you know, lucky I wasn't going to starve, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully it comes out and hopefully it's well received because I do think it gives more opportunities. Once again, that's some Jay stuff. Jay-Z, he keeps breaking boundaries and doing things and showing it really is the blueprint, you know what I'm saying, of how things, get done.
Yeah.
Talk about standing your ground, and you mentioned this guy earlier, Shaka Zulu, who's Ludacris's manager. He's currently going through his legal drama, and I saw a post that you dedicated to him on Instagram. Can you talk about your ties with Shaka and how you guys related?
I went to Clark, and from the time I touched down, Shaka was like, he was the PD at like the college radio station. You know what I'm saying? Ludacris was Chris Lover on the radio. Poon was on. Like Atlanta was a different place. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a crazy. That time in Atlanta was like being, if you're an artist, being in New York in the early 80s. You know what I'm saying? Because we had Kenny Burns and Jaha and Chaka and Shakir and Puff was stopping through and this person, and you know what I'm saying? Like it just was like a very interesting group. And Chaka just was a solid dude. He was a hardworking dude. Like, he always was in the radio, always was into like understood business, you know what I'm saying? And was, didn't play the same way everybody else played. He took himself a lot more serious. And so I knew before I saw any video, I knew before I saw anything, like anybody, who talks to Shaka, like it is, you come around, he takes care of you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
man of respect.
Man of respect. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry that anyone lost their life at all. I'm sorry that person's parents and family and children for sure. But I feel like we have all these people defending, the law and the right to carry this and the right to do that. But why does that never work for us? You know what I'm saying? You can look at it, you know what I'm saying? This man was pummeled. You know what I'm saying? Was getting pummeled, you know what I'm saying? And to get up and you have, a weapon that's legal and you don't know what's going to happen next. And you know what I'm saying? You shoot the idea, you don't know if you're going to make it out of there. You know what I'm saying? And he was shot 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And I feel like this man is now a father, you know what I'm saying? A man who's helped countless people. And the same laws that everyone else uses. And Trump so, blatantly like, well, I could go shoot somebody in their face. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I look at him in that seat in the court and I feel like that's my brother. And he looks broken. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not made for us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not made for us. And I feel like, I love him and I hope that this all sees its way clear because he's one of the good ones.
Yeah. And please share some reflections. She mentioned him earlier, Shakir Stewart, from people that may not know, Shake,
Yeah.
And his legacy and how he impacted you.
he was one of my best friends, if not my best friend. You know what I'm saying? It's hard because so many people like Shake was my best friend, but like no, but he really was. He I've tattooed with him. You know what I'm saying? We were. It was crazy. He had a music credit. I co-created Top Model back in the day.
Tyra Banks, little show. Little show.
Might have heard of it.
And I got Shake a, music supervisor credit on there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
I hooked him up to manage Tyra, you know what I'm saying, for a while.
Wow.
And, the thing with Shake was our friendship was so special because when I went, a lot of people do with music, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I was going my route, I was one of the, I was the only dude, but I got, had some success, and he never needed anything from me. And I never needed anything from him.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it was a purity in our friendship, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was, we were coming up together. And to like have somebody that you could talk about things that you knew wasn't like leaning and needing something from you, and he knew I wasn't, it created this amazing purity for us. And we actually had a place rented. 2 weeks from then, we were supposed to go to Barris with our family. That was going to be my first, like, baller, like, kind of like that was going to be my first sort of, we were taking our families there. He had been going through some hard times, you know what I'm saying, and having some struggles that I didn't really know about. And he would kind of hear from me. And, I knew some things were going on in his life, but, it's just, depression and stress and all that stuff is really hard. But like he's a legend.
Amazing,
you know what I'm saying?
Amazing dude.
Like Rick Ross, Jeezy, you know what I'm saying? I remember he came into my house.
Welcome to Def Jam, yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I remember he came to my house and played Let It Burn. You know what I'm saying? And we just sat in the car. We both was going through shit with our girl. And he's like, I was just like, man, let that shit burn.
You let something else burn, man. You put an ending on Blackish, man. Please talk about, that journey. Like when you look back at it now, which obviously was your career breakthrough. I feel like a lot of times I'll see you on Instagram, you'd be like, I can't even fully express how this changed my life, right?
It changed my life, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna say awfully good, but not awfully. It changed my life. It gave me financially. I had gotten some success with Top Model. Top Model was the first thing that gave me as a writer, I was a PA, and then as a writer, you make good money. You know what I'm saying? As a television writer, like if kids want to, you know what I'm saying, do it, like you make doctor money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you also are trying to live a Hollywood life. You couldn't do it. So I was making good money. My wife's a doctor. So we were living this life. But then Blackish came out, and I had sold a bunch of pilots, and it was financially, just mindset wise, how it was seen in the industry, all this type of stuff, like came on after Modern Family and beat Modern Family. You know what I'm saying?
Right out the gate, right?
I'm saying, and it literally, everything in my life changed, like literally overnight. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it was, one of the story that I kind of like hits me the most is like I went with my family to the African American Museum in DC.
Yeah.
And we were there for the Easter egg hunt when niggas used to get invited to the White House.
What a time.
What a time. And we went, and like it starts from from Africans, imprisoned Africans, stolen imprisoned Africans' first arrival in America. And it takes you up as you go up through, where we are.
Yeah.
People are crying and you're seeing this shit. When we get to the top floor, there is a television set. And it's playing Blackish.
Wow.
And my family, I just started crying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just was like, this is,
Surreal.
this is unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is unbelievable that, like, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not, I couldn't have called it. I couldn't know what was going on. I was sad that Shake wasn't here to celebrate it with me. You know what I'm saying? It was, I think that it had, tremendous effects. I think it damaged my marriage. I think it damaged a lot of my friendships. I think it damaged a lot of different things. I think it also helped a lot of different things. Like, it was, we've all had those moments, but like, it's a really, all of this shit for us is first generation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, we don't have
no blueprint before.
We weren't on the Mayflower. You know what I'm saying? So how to handle it, the effect of it, all that type of stuff. But it was, I got to watch that with my kids, and I can never get taken from you. Every Wednesday we would sit and watch it. I remember one of the episodes that affected me the most is my oldest son, Pops, was like 8, 9. And Jack, who he says like Jack is based on him. My oldest son, Pops. Jack had lied and was supposed to get a whooping. Bo had said, when your father comes home, he's going to beat your ass, right? And so he comes in like into the room to get a spanking. He has like 7 jackets on and pair of pants, you know what I'm saying? And it's that classic, Dre's like, I'm just disappointed in you. And that was worse than the spanking. And he like walks out, and my son, who had been sitting there watching it, gets up and he goes, that was a close one. And I was like, no one can ever take this from me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to grow up, got to do this show with my family, and they got to see themselves grow up. And so it was, it was that part of, like, there's so many things that I just never in a million years would have imagined could become my life. And like that thing in particular, those moments, what Blackish did, the things we were able to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So many of my friends were like, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest, moments, like, a super moment, like I was in the writer's room with Jonathan Groff, who was my partner, a white dude. And I was like, yo, I'll be right back, man. I got to go to haircut and be late. And he was like, didn't you just get your haircut last week? I was like, yeah, Jonathan, I get my haircut every week. Man, that's how it stays so short.
Right.
I was like, did you not know my hair grew? He was like, I could tell. This nigga didn't. Right? And I was like, how often did you get your haircut? And he was like, I don't know, every 2 or 3 months. I said, every 2 or 3 months.
Hell no. You get braids.
Yeah, I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? And I realized these are two people who sit
Cultural difference.
and be sitting next to each other. And we never had that conversation.
Yeah.
And so that conversation turned into a room conversation. That's why I think the room is so important.
Yep.
And we started identifying in a way I had never thought about. That's why the barbershop for us is so important, because a lot of times it's a single moms, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, you're dusty. Here's a place where there's a man with a job working, gonna be there when you need him. Yeah. Makes you feel better about yourself when you leave than when you came out there. Wow. You soak up game from the neighborhood that you never hear. And it's this part of our culture that, like, that's why it's so important. You know what I'm saying? Our hair in a big way was a big differentiator between us and the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? We've had hair issues or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, this is something to talk about and be able to have a show that we could talk about that. And so I had so many of my white friends, like, I never thought about that. And I had some of my black friends never say, like, I never thought about it in that aspect. And so to be able to have something that could almost serve as like a cultural time capsule, you know what I'm saying? For us to sort of talk about things. And, I got a lot of criticism, like, you writing for white people. I'm like, no, I'm not writing for everybody. Yeah. But I don't need to explain it to us. We got it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I need to sort of show them and give them the humanity that they have taken from us. And I'm saying, just let them know that we live and breathe and love our kids and our family and have things that just like you do. So having that vehicle, you know what I'm saying, it was amazing.
You have to be super proud of the young lady that's on the show. She's a director now. And
it's crazy. It's crazy. I was saying Yara is going to be president. You know what I'm saying? And Marseille is, I think she was the youngest EP in history. Right. You know what I'm saying? Marseille, the first episode of Blackish, she did we had the hair department wrapped her hair when she was going to bed, right? Just something normal. Next week, it was letters, emails piled everywhere, right? And I'm like, people were like, I never saw that. I never saw myself. We do. And I realized there had not been a show that had been like that. That's how few opportunities. People didn't know that something was so common for us. Yeah. We hadn't just shown the minutia of just our everyday life. And people don't understand. So, like, I just looked at that opportunity that I was given and said, we need more of these, and we need to make sure that when we get these opportunities, we really put our time into it in a way that sort of, it can affect the world.
And you definitely get into the music game as well with collabo music.
I'm trying.
You got barking on Steve Berman, telling him in the scope. Don't blow this, Berman.
You have a new artist, Go-Go.
I love Go-Go. Yeah. I love Rocco. The music industry is, I don't know how y'all survive, man.
Barely.
No, seriously, it's a different beast, man, because it's bottom feeders. You know what I'm saying? You have a couple people who have talent, and you have hundreds of people around them who are just feeding off of those couple of people. You know what I'm saying? And
sign 20 acts and maybe 1 or 2 successful,
man.
and everybody lives.
It's an industry that is really, 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 really hard coming from where I'm coming from to navigate. I love music, you know what I'm saying? And Nicole Planton, who runs my label, is amazing and gets in and sort of talks me through. But I don't know how y'all, you know what I'm saying? Music journalism.
Yeah.
Those are two almost fucking words that fight against each other.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And what's going on with the podcast? Are you doing something with Drama for that? DJ Drama?
So me and Drama are doing one. We're gonna do
that's a light skinned brother you get in business with.
And he went to Clark.
Yeah, there we go.
And he went to Clark.
Chico.
And he went to Clark. And he is, people forget like Drama, like almost like on a large level, almost created the mixtape. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like
reinvented it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Reinvented it, you know what I'm saying? In a big revolutionized it. And it's mixed, it's Gangsta Grills mixed with Generation Now, and just like the idea of like his history, and also talking about where music is going. And I think the podcast is as you know, it's the fastest growing form of this. And I feel like it is, I want to do something with you guys. I told Elliot,
It's on the record now. It's on the record.
I feel like I want to take and elevate it and do what's the Oprah Winfrey version of like, how do we from the highest level patina do and sonically, show what music is from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? I would love to work with,
you was telling me how you was inspired by the Drake interview as sort of a standard of
when
that.
y'all did that Drake interview, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy because I'm a huge Drake fan, but like there's whole fucking, remember Big Ghost Chronicles? Yeah. Like he just had a whole like, I remember that. When Drake raps, bubbles come out the speakers. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, this shit is genius. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, he gets so much hate to be so. How can somebody be that great? You know what I'm saying? And like what you guys did in that interview is you humanized him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You spoke to him, and like I think I think it's in some aspects it's the same thing Kobe got in some aspects, right? Yeah. Because Kobe is not American kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Kobe's really an Italian kid. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think Drake's a Canadian. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of times the things that people may sort of feel about him or the ways that he may come up, I think he didn't grow up in the same, scenarios and situations and culture, the same thing. And I feel like the talent and the brilliance is undeniable, but I think sometimes, the way he presents may not be something that everybody, it's easy to sort of like, it's easy to fucking be like this dude. Tings. It's like tings. When he starts doing tings, I'm like, no more tings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm like, I think it just keeps winning, though. You know what I'm saying? And what you guys did is you showed me, and you got him to talk, and you saw his brilliance. You saw his heart. You saw a little bit of who he is. You know what I'm saying? My joke to you was like, oh, I'm a little parched. And I was like, it's easy to hate that guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. At the same time, you realize every time he does an SB, he's funny as fuck. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's smart. He has a reason behind the madness and whatever the case may be. So I think that was an example of how important what you do is. It gives people a fuller, more robust look at people who they oftentimes get a flat image of. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That interview for me was everything.
So you're saying right here, this is your best interview of all time?
I mean, it's crazy. But you got me talking. And just in general, y'all, you know what I'm saying, the way you present and what you do, I feel like it doesn't feel like it's softball shit. You know what I'm saying? It really feels like you're going after it. I just want y'all to keep doing, what you do.
Well, I want to know if you're going to keep doing it, because I read that, you're 46. 47?
48.
48. Mm-hmm. And I read that at 50, you kind of want to like hang it up.
Be done.
Really?
At least in the time, I want to get through with Wizard of Oz, and I want to hopefully get Pryor done. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, I would love to like make it where I am. If I'm writing something, I'm writing one thing at a time, but I'm really more so helping other people. Mm-hmm. Not for free, you know what I'm saying? But I really feel like I've learned enough now where I think I can really get other people's shit off the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me and my wife joke about it, Danielle. Like we joke the Quincy Jones years. You gotta look forward to your Quincy years. Yeah. And how you moving at that period of your life.
Yeah, your wife is amazing. His wife's helping me with my book. And the way she is able to see the world, and she's been through so many different things, I feel like she thought that's exactly
Don't make
right.
me cry, Kenya.
I said you got a good one, man. But the way she's able to see the world and conceptualize them back, you know what I'm saying? I feel like
scary.
It's scary. And I feel like, but that's what we need. I was just talking to the Breakfast Club. We need each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that old, we're stronger together. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're finally at the place, like, we need each other. And we gotta, the one thing I've realized is that the more success I've gotten, the more enemies I've gotten, even if I didn't want them, because people feel like I'm a gatekeeper. And I'm really not. You know what I'm saying? It might look like, you know what I'm saying? But
you're
like,
still knocking doors down yourself.
I'm still, and I feel like sometimes people feel like, you owe them this or you owe them that. I'm like, man, I can, you know what I'm saying? If you put me in the position, I can help put you in the position, but I can't just make it happen.
Yeah.
But there's a few of us where we can together make it happen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I really want to put together like a conference, you know what I'm saying, where we come together, the people who don't necessarily need, you know what I'm saying, anything from each other other than the community, but like, let's get together and like, let's really start making moves. Jay Brown, who I really respect, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out Jay Brown.
You know what I'm saying? And, his thing is like legacy, you know what I'm saying? And like, I've seen the legacy that they're putting together. And I think it's big enough for all of us, but we all have to bring something to the table.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're going to keep bringing it to the table, man.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Kenya, man. It's an honor, bro.
Thank you,
appreciate you.
It's felt great.
Thank you. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Elaborate
Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.